I haven't done one of these in a while. But last night's game against the Nets, a game that the Knicks on paper should have won because three of their top stars were the Brooklyn Nets top stars were MIA. Kyrie Irving couldn't play because the NYC is still under a bullshit vax mandate. But I won't go any further than that. KD, quad strain, gonna be out till the end of the All-Star break. Ben Simmons, who they recently picked up in a trade, shipping both an addition for Seth Curry and another piece, as well as a draft pick, in exchange for shipping Harden out along with Paul Millsap to Philadelphia. A game on paper this team should have won. Ahead by 28 midway through the second quarter, but once again, the tactical tunnel vision of Tin Man Thibodeau strikes again. Up 21 at the half, and they cough it up. You're damn right he outdid himself, DeLuna. Raph. You're damn right he outdid himself. This is the straw that has broken the camel's back. Now, Leon Rose should be held just as accountable because he's not doing anything with this team. Thibodeau wanted to keep Bullock, and he told Tibbs to get rid of him because he wanted to develop Burks. How has that panned out? Horribly. Getting Evan Fournier and Kemba Walker, they're tempo killers. You sacrificed defensive viability for offensive versatility. For offensive shooting might that stagnates once they get too comfortable of a lead. This is 3 games in a row against teams on paper this team should have won against. And the third time in the last week and a half that the Knicks have squandered 20-point plus leads against in a game. Everyone who remembers that Knick Laker game I covered last Saturday would know they had a lead as big as 21 or 23 and squandered it. This past Friday, 23 against Portland, squandered it. Last night, 28 against Brooklyn and squandered it. It's no wonder the fans have been calling for Thibodeau's head, for him to be gone. Because he is not a developmental coach, a coach who logically wants to develop the young guns. Anyone who has heard me on Legion of Knicks podcast the past few games knows I go off the wall and call Thibodeau out to be held accountable for the tunnel vision tin man that he is. But I think these lyrics from a song from the Ruby Volume 7 soundtrack, which described Ironwood perfectly, also show that Tibbs is cut from that cloth. What if it's true, as they say, that I don't have a heart, that I'm more a machine than a man? What would that change? Would it matter at all? I've made my plan. That's what Tibbs is like. Someone who doesn't care for alternative options. He's going to follow his plays to the ultimate definition of tactical insanity. You can't just have a credible track record. You have to be smart. You can't just be deserving of the position. You got to be worthy. You got to be worthy to earn it. But Tibbs, lately, all you have been for the past 4 months is a fucking migraine. You've screwed this team in 33 of its last 53 after they won 5 of their first 6. And in my opinion, the game against Toronto was the first domino that started this tailspin. Up by 15 halfway through the second quarter, and you squandered it because you didn't want to change the lineup. Why are you this fucking slow to adapt? The next coach the Knicks bring in better pride himself on adaptability in 22-23. Otherwise, this team is going backwards. It's always one step forward, two steps back with this bunch of bastards. I mean, if you want to trace where the dominoes started to fall, I say go back to 2000 when James Dolan made that dumbass trade to ship Ewing out for a draft pick, Howard Isley and Shannon Anderson, Vin Baker, Shannon Anderson, and Howard Isley, acquiring those for Ewing. That was the dumbest move he could have ever made. It's no wonder James Dolan is one of the most hated owners in the NBA. And probably the NHL, since he also owns the New York Rangers. But at least the Rangers, for better or worse, are actually holding New York sports attention. Because the Islanders have fallen off. I think it's first year. I mean, freshman fright in a new. I mean, the freshman level of stage fright in the UBS, their new arena, after decades in Fort Neverlose, Nassau. Throw in losing Jordan Eberle in the expansion draft to the Kraken, the injury and COVID problems, and something I called them out on bring back Zdeno Chara to a 1-year deal. That guy's an albatross as he is right now. He hasn't helped the Islanders at all. He's caused them to regress. That being said, let's get back to the Knicks. How do you screw this up? I mean, I don't like Stephen A. Smith for his political viewpoints. Heck, I don't even like Stephen A. Smith as a person for how much of a jackass he can be. But one thing we are aligned on, it's our disgust with the 2021-2022 New York Knicks. We have had it with Tom Tin Man Thibodeau. This son of a bitch has got to go. Leon Rose, he has been MIA. He didn't do anything at the trade deadline. He makes dumbass draft picks. I mean, I like Quickly and Toppin, don't get me wrong. But under the Thibodeau system, Toppin especially is not going to flourish. And what was the point of getting Jericho Sims and Miles McBride along with Quentin Grimes when Sims and McBride aren't doing anything? Sims is rotting on the bench, and McBride is basically building himself back up in the G League. Grimes is the only one who's getting any play time. I'm out of those 3 picks. And what happens? When he gets a hot hand, the veterans like Randall, Walker, Fournier, they get terrified and decide to play ball hog. That's the problem. Yeah, you're no kidding, Rap. They collapsed in their second year. And the irony of that is, Tibbs actually has, I think, either 2, maybe 3 NBA rings as an assistant coach. But again, if you look at his track record, his tactical tunnel vision comes back to haunt him in the long run. Look at the back half of his tenure with Chicago. Look at the entirety of his tenure with Minnesota. And here's a stupid move by the Knicks front office, hiring the former executive of basketball operations for the Timberwolves, who you know has some dirty sexual dealings on his resume. That brings more scrutiny to this franchise. Thibodeau's tunnel vision is about as to not give the young guys the torch is about as bad as Phil Jackson's first move as executive of the Knicks in 2014. And I've brought it up a few times. And I know I'm being a dead horse by saying it, but we all know what that move was. His first move, and I quote from Stephen A. as executive, was to sign Lamar Odom. And we both put emphasis on this. Who was on crack? At this point, if my prophecy of Thibodeau getting fired during or at the end of this season does not come true, I'm going to flip my wig. And I've even gone on record on the Legion's podcast when I call in, and believe me, it takes me almost half a dozen times, that should I get courtside tickets, and believe me, I am not a season's ticket holder for the Hornets, for the game between the Knicks and Hornets when the Knicks come down here on March 23rd, I'm gonna come up to Tibbs and punch him in the face. To hell with the consequences. Darwin, not in the mood right now. Anyone who knows me knows I may be hot headed. I may have a bit of a violent edge to myself, but I am passionate, honest, and honest with my opinions. Almost to a fucking fault, if not completely to a fault. Darwin, don't rub it in, you little bum. Knicks had all their stars last night, and they got beat by a bench with something they lack depth. And that is something Steve Nash is succeeding at, even though he just recently came off. He's only won 2 in a row after coming off a horrendous 11-game losing streak. The Nets have depth on their bench. What does Tibbs have? Nothing, because he doesn't want to use it. This is one of the reasons WCW died, because the veterans were not willing to give the young guys the torch. It's take, not give. With this Knick franchise. When you look at how Philadelphia, Toronto, Boston, and Brooklyn are starting to turn the corner, the Knicks are stuck halfway at the turn. In the Atlantic Division. They're bottom of the barrel because Tin Man Tibbs shows he is basically being a petulant child with the lineup he's given. Giving all the hoarding the minutes for the veterans. Letting the veterans ball hog when they get too comfortable a lead. Taking their foot off the gas pedal when they get too far ahead. Instead of pushing the gas pedal to the fucking floor. This makes me sick, and I've never been more ashamed to be a damn Knicks fan than I am now. Leave a comment, smash the like, sub to this channel. Mets2128 signing out. Thank God we're at the All-Star break at long last. Maybe we can get Barrett and Rose back, and maybe this team will get better. Emphasis on maybe. Maybe we'll win about 10, 12, maybe 13 more games, but we're not getting into the play-in at this rate. Goodbye. Good fucking night. Bang!